Are you ready? Are you really ready to break your junk food habit? I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician, and in this video, I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that I've gleaned over my years of practice to help you do just that. So let's talk about these tips, and I want you to be very aware during this entire video, especially when I talk about the last tip at the end of this video, that these are strategies. These are things that are not going to make breaking your junk food addiction easy, but they are going to make it less hard. And that's very important for you to understand. There is some work for you to do. You are going to have to snap to and stand up straight and put your thinking cap on and be ready to do some work. But once you get on the other side of your junk food habit, your junk food addiction, you're going to feel so much better and your health is going to improve so much that I promise you it's going to be worth it. So let's jump right in. First and foremost is admit that you have a problem. This is very important. Highly processed food addiction, junk food addiction, sugar addiction, these are very real things. And although you may get mixed messages out there, it is absolutely possible to be addicted to junk food, to have a junk food habit. And so the first thing you've got to do is look in the mirror, get up right now, go to the mirror, look in the mirror and say, I have a junk food addiction. I have a problem. And that's okay because I'm going to start taking these active steps to reverse that habit, to reverse that problem, to make a new habits of eating real, whole, healthy human food and stop eating the junk food. You've got enemies in this fight. You have to understand this. You may have family members and friends who are also junk food addicts, and they're going to try to pull you down. If you can't change the way they think about food and change the way they treat you with regards to food, then you may have to cull some of your friends, hopefully not family members. But you have to understand very clearly that big food corporations have a vested profit motive in getting you addicted to their highly processed junk food and keeping you addicted. So they'll have all kinds of commercials talking about smiles and love and family and happiness. They don't give a damn about any of that. They just want your $5. They just want your €5. That's all they care about. They want your money. And so they will do everything up to and including hiring food chemists and food and nutrition engineers to engineer a product that hits the perfect bliss point. So it's got enough sugar, enough salt, and enough unhealthy fat to cause your brain to release endorphins and other things that give you that good feeling, that high, that feeling of calm and being relaxed when you eat their junk. And then you have another big enemy, which is Big Pharma, and they're only indirectly involved in this. See, over the last few decades, Big Pharma has been training doctors and dietitians that you can be healthy at every size, that all you need to do to lose weight is to move more and eat less. It doesn't matter what you eat, just don't eat so much. And so they have also trained doctors that the only solution to being overweight, to having metabolic disease is a prescription, a pill, an injection, an infusion. And so very often when you go see your doctor or dietitian, they're not helpful at all in helping you break your junk food habit. They'll say very unhelpful things like, well, all things in moderation. That's like telling an alcoholic, well, just have 2 beers a day. You have a junk food habit. You can't have any junk food. And also you don't need any junk food. And ultimately, you won't want the junk food. So remember these 2 big enemies and then all of their kind of confidants and helpers in this fight against you to keep you addicted to your junk food habit and keep you buying their products. Also, Big Pharma is very happy when you do develop disease from your junk food habit to allow doctors, oh, look, there's a new pill for weight loss. There's a new pill for type 2 diabetes. Here, just give them this pill and tell them to enjoy all things in moderation, because they make billions by getting the pills and injections prescribed, and Big Food makes billions from selling you the junk food. So these people are not your friends. And in many cases, your doctor or dietitian is also not your friend. Junk food habit is very, very common. Millions of people all over the world suffer from junk food and sugar addiction. You're in good company. I used to be one of those people, but I was able to break that addiction to junk food by following these steps. The next step is to absolutely clean out your environment. Get rid of all the highly processed junk food in your house. Clean out the pantries, clean out the refrigerator, and then next move to your car. Move to your bag or your briefcase that you carry with you. Clean those out. And then when you get to work, clean out the work environment as well. You have to, because very commonly with an addiction, it's a spur of the moment decision to drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or eat junk food. You're under a little stress or something pisses you off and you reach and grab, okay? And so if your environment is completely barren of any of these highly processed junk foods, then you're gonna have time for the front part of your brain, that part of us that makes us human, to take charge again and go, whoa, wait a minute, what are you doing? What are you looking for? Okay, so you've gotta clean out your entire environment and get rid of all the junk food. And now some people are currently confused about, well, I mean, what's the difference, Dr. Berry, between junk food and real food? I'm not a nutritionist. How do I even know the difference? I got a video in the show notes about the difference between junk food and real food. There's ways to tell. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to tell your friends and your family and your coworkers, hey, I have a sugar addiction or a junk food addiction. Or you can even stretch it a little bit, which is probably not a stretch, and say, hey, I've been diagnosed with metabolic disease. I have prediabetes. I have high blood pressure. I'm overweight. I have type 2 diabetes. I have metabolic syndrome. My waist to height ratio is too high. I need your help. I need you to stop tempting me with this stuff because I have an addiction. I'm an addict. Now, when you tell people, hey, I'm on keto diet or carnivore diet, they're going to take that as a challenge. And they're going to try to be like, but don't you want some pie? Oh, you're on keto. Well, don't you want a cookie? They're going to take that as a challenge, and that's not what you need from your friends and family and coworkers. You need them to be on your side. And when you phrase your current condition as what it really is, which is an addiction, they're going to suddenly become your allies, and they're going to become your wingmen, and they're going to protect you, and they're going to go out of their way not only to not offer you this nasty shit, but they're also going to go out of their way to warn other people. And so if Peggy Sue brings a pie to work, they're going to be like, hey, don't offer that to Dr. Berry. He's a sugar addict. He's got a problem. He told me, go hide that somewhere. And so all of a sudden, your friends and family and coworkers become your helpers in this battle instead of trying to trip you up or tear you down. Now, if you have one particular friend or coworker who's not on board with this, then you may have to distance yourself from them and tell them, hey, until you can understand that I'm an addict and you stop tempting me with the very thing I'm addicted to, we can't be friends anymore. I'm sorry. So please keep your distance until such time as you promise to stop tripping me up and making me unhealthy. The next strategy is to replace all the junk food with low carb, nutrient dense food. And so I want you to refill your pantry and refill your refrigerator. If you want to put some snacks in your briefcase or your backpack, that's cool. If you want to have that one drawer at work that's full of some snacks, although what you're going to notice is as you break the junk food addiction, you're not going to need to snack nearly as often. It's going to be kind of cool and kind of freeing in a way that you just eat during meals and you don't snack in between. But until then, as you're breaking this addiction, I want you to fill up your spaces with easy to grab, easy to eat snacks that are keto friendly, ketovore friendly, or carnivore friendly. And there's a large assortment of these. All you got to do is just go to YouTube and look for keto friendly snacks. My wife Nisha has a YouTube channel and she talks about keto and carnivore friendly snacks all the time. She's got videos about what we eat in a day. All that kind of stuff is going to help you go, oh, I never thought of that. I can keep some boiled eggs and some bacon in a Ziploc bag, take that with me to work, and if I'm stuck in traffic and somebody cuts me off and I get that gnawing craving for my previous junk food habit, I'll just smash the boiled eggs and the bacon. And I didn't just give in to my junk food addiction. good strategy. One thing you need to be aware of at this stage, under this tip, is the false choice that you're given very often by big food manufacturers about what is junk food and what's not. And so a great example of this false choice would be if you said, okay, I get it, Dr. Berry, I'm going to stop drinking Pepsi and stop eating Little Debbie snack cakes, and I'm going to stop all that crap. And I'm going to replace it with whole grain breads and fruit smoothies. Now, to many people's ears, that sounds like an excellent swap. Oh yes, that's much healthier, right? Not really. The problem is those things also release the endorphins. They also are full of sugar. Even whole grain bread is full of starch, which breaks down into sugar. Even the non-GMO organic fruit juice smoothie or fruit smoothie is full of sucrose and fructose and glucose, sugars that are going to absolutely feed right back into your junk food habit and cause you to fall off the wagon. So what you want to replace this food with is very low calorie, low carbohydrate, nutrient dense food that human beings and our ancestors have been eating for millions of years. The next step is to identify your triggers. And you may say, well, I don't understand. We're talking about food here. Why would a trigger matter? So just like for an alcoholic, just like for somebody who's a previous smoker or used to use illegal drugs, when you're under stress, when you have one or several triggers going off at the same time, this weakens the front part of your brain, that part that makes us human, and it makes you start thinking with the back of your brain again, the animal brain or the reptilian brain. And you start to reach and grab quick decisions, irrational decisions, and you start to grab things that are going to give you immediate relief from the triggers. So a trigger could be that one friend that always pisses you off. It could be traffic on the way to work. It could be something going on at home. It may be finances. But you need to identify these and label them very clearly and admit to yourself, this is a trigger for me. Every time my spouse says this, every time the next door neighbor throws the dog shit back over the fence into my yard, every time my boss does this, that triggers me and it brings up my previous addictive behavior. It makes me want to go back into my junk food habit. And so by identifying these triggers and naming them a trigger, that's going to give you more power and bring you back to the front part of your brain and allow you to make more thoughtful, rational, perhaps even logical decisions instead of making spur of the moment emotional decisions about food. The next thing to do is to plan your meals. Plan ahead. Now, the primary component of planning your meals is having your pantry and your fridge and your freezer full of nutrient-dense, very low carbohydrate food, some which is easy to reach and grab and eat, some of which you're going to start to cook. You do cook, don't you? If you don't cook, come on, you got to grow up. You got to start cooking, okay? It's easy, it's fun, and it opens up this entire new world of real human food to you. And so some people love to plan their meals for an entire week ahead and make them, prep them, freeze them. I'm not that guy, okay? You may be that guy, and if so, that's great. I applaud you for that. But if you're not that guy, if you're like me, you're just a reach and grab kind of guy, then your planning around your food is going to be that you've got food in your pantry, in the cabinets, in the freezer, in the fridge that you can either reach and grab and eat, or you can literally prepare it on the stovetop or in the oven or in the air fryer in 3 to 5 minutes and then eat it. That kind of planning ahead, thinking ahead about your food is going to help you break your junk food habit. The next tip is to fill up on high-fat, high-protein foods before you're in a situation that might trigger you and before you're in a situation or at an event that you might be tempted by junk food that might be there. So let's say you're going to a family holiday dinner or a birthday celebration or an anniversary or some work event, and you know there's going to be junk food there. Happens every time. You know it's going to be there. So before you go, you're going to fill up. You're going to eat as much as you can of high protein, high fat, very, very low carbohydrate foods. Because when you get to that event, that it's possibly a triggering event for you, you do not want to be trying to fight the old habit and being hungry at the same time. You might be strong, you might have willpower, you might have persistence, but that for most mortals, for most humans, that's too much to try to fight hunger and the old habit as well. But if you're completely stuffed and not really physiologically hungry at all, that's going to give you a huge leg up on being able to say no. And if you've already prepped the crowd with my previous tip of telling them that you have metabolic illness or a junk food addiction, they're going to be wingmanning for you. And they're going to be out there saying, hey, get that pie away from him. Don't offer him that. No, he's metabolically sick. He has a medical condition. What's wrong with you? Get these damn donuts away from us. But eating until you're comfortably stuffed with healthy, high-fat, high-protein foods is going to really make it easier for you to use the front part of your brain and say, no, I would not like to have that jelly donut, but I would like to have some steak or something else that is actually a human food. Now, that last one was a pretty good tip, but it's not nearly as good as the tip I'm going to give you at the very end of this list of tips. The next tip is to work on stress management. We all have stress in our life, all of us, some more than others, maybe you more than others. But what matters is not how much stress you have in your life. What matters is how you react to the stress in your life. And you may be saying right now, that's crazy talk. What are you talking about? I've got so much stress. How can I possibly begin to manage this mess that is currently my life? I've been there. I've done that. I've been in very stressful life situations in the past, and I have come to learn very slowly that there are ways to manage stress. Even if you're literally in prison on death row and the clock is ticking, you can be happy and you can be satisfied and you can be calm and content and not reaching for the junk food and calling up that previous addiction. I'm going to put a link down in the show notes to a book that helped me greatly understand how to manage stress and not let it manage me. Next is you've got to get better sleep. And there's research, reams of research that shows that if you didn't sleep good last night, you're much more likely to give in to a prior addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's tobacco, whether it's illegal drugs, or whether it's junk food. You are weakened. You're more back in the animal reptilian part of your brain when you don't sleep good. Your hierarchy of needs changes. And so you forget about the self-actualization and you start worrying about, I need some junk to smash into my face hole because I'm not feeling good today. And so I actually have a video about all the tips for sleep that I think are important. And it may be that you need to get more sleep, but more than likely it's that you just need to get better quality sleep. I put a link down in the show notes to that video about sleep. Now, the final tip, and this one I have found more valuable for more people than any of these other tips. And that is you've got to find a buddy. You've got to find a tribe of people who are on the same journey that you are on. People who have already said, yep, I've got a junk food habit. I have a sugar addiction. I've got a problem. I need to work on this. When you find people in that tribe or that community, they're going to help you during your moment of weakness because they've been there and they've done that. And they're like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't give in. Here's what I did in that situation. That kind of advice and that kind of assistance is invaluable. That will save you more times than not. Now, Nisha and I started a community just like this, and I'm going to put a link down in the show notes. If you need just a community of people who've been there and done that, who had previous junk food habits and sugar addictions and issues with food, please feel free to join our community. But that's by no means a requirement. I just want you to find a friend. This friend can be in person, in real life, or this person can be online. This can be a Facebook group. This can be an Instagram person that you met online. But find your tribe, find your community, and they will help you in your moment of weakness. A good trick to find a buddy to help you walk with you on this journey that you're about to undertake is to share this video with somebody that you love and care about and say, hey, you got a junk food problem, okay? I'm just telling you because I got one too. Let's do this together. What do you say?